Skills and support gems have two amazing features. If you select a skill to learn, you don't only see the description, they'll actually play a video with voiceover explaining you exactly what the skill does and how it works. No more guesswork, straight up information. Here's a very short snippet.
Skeletal snipers do.
How do you learn a skill in Path of Exile 2? You find skill gems in the open world, get them from quests, and yes, they can drop from complete normal boxes on the side of the road as well as from enemies. You right click on it in your inventory, and then you can engrave any skill you want to, and pull it into your skill bar if there's spaces left, or pull a skill out if you don't have spaces left. The same goes for support gems. You'll find them like skill gems, and then you can engrave any support skill. And the interesting part is they added a recommended feature for people that have absolutely no clue how to mix and match things. One final thing about support gems. I have the skill Contagion and Essence Drain right now. Both are Chaos skills. And then I can, for example, use the added Chaos damage support gem. Now, I can only use it on Contagion or Essence Drain. I cannot use it on Contagion and Essence Drain. I can freely move them, so the Chaos damage is not stuck with Contagion. I can just pull it down, but I can only use one once. And then for Essence Drain, I have to come up with different strategies with more stuff. And considering how many support gems there are, you'll be able to mix and match like crazy. The only limitation you have is meeting the support requirements of strength, dex, or intelligence, but that's what you have your passive skill tree for, with the stat nodes where you can choose strength, int, or dexterity. If you already want to do some theory crafting and not get too overwhelmed in the beginning, here's a list of all the skills and support gems. Link is in the description below. Now to the passive tree. Still huge, still intimidating, especially for people that have absolutely no clue about Path of Exile. Two things to note here. There's a search bar in the corner. You want to play fire, enter fire. You want to play minions, enter minions. And then just click down the nodes that sound interesting to you. And if you ever make a mistake, feel like you don't have enough life, energy shield, mana regeneration, your minions are dying too easy, you're taking too much elemental damage, you can refund points for gold in the city at a vendor and just do it again. The game wants you to make decisions, but it doesn't want to pigeonhole you into a certain way and ruin your character. Finally, you can start the game without having to study a build guide beforehand. Now let's talk Ascensions and Ascension Trials. Ascensions are the specializations of your character, and each class has two of them, and a third one will be added down the line. I want to play a witch, and I can go Infernalist or Bloodmancer to boost my minions even further, because obviously I'll be a summoner. Now these Ascensions are non-refundable. We just talked about the passive tree. Everything can be refunded. Ascensions cannot be. This is a decision you'll have to make down the line, not straight up in the beginning. You'll be quite some hours into the game already before you have to make that one. But keep in mind that you cannot take it back yet. Interviews, they said this is still up for discussion internally. There might be a reset coming. At the current point, you choose your ascension, you stay. And how do you ascend? That's where this trial of strength are coming in. And they had a specialty in Path of Exile 1, because if you died, you were out and had to try again from the beginning. In Path of Exile 2, they added an armor mechanic. Listen to Jonathan for a second.
While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again.
After beating the trial, you get your first set of ascension points to spend in your new tree. To the end game, ginormous map. One very important thing to keep in mind here. If you die during a map, that map is out. You cannot progress on that path anymore, and you'll be having to find a way around. Now, that sounds stressful and problematic. It's actually not. If you ever come to the point where you completely screw up and all paths are blocked, you can just hit the reset button and everything goes to 0 in the mapping stage, and you can start from 1 again with all the experience you gained. When it comes down to hunting pinnacle bosses, there's a system of lieutenants and city bosses you have to kill before you can actually find the pinnacle boss. And if you fail against a lieutenant, he'll wander around on the map and you'll be having to find him again. So be sure that when you actually challenge a boss, that you're ready to challenge the boss, that your build is good enough. Because boss fights in Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 2 in general are difficult. Usually when you start an ARPG, everything just falls in front of you and you're just mowing things down. In Path of Exile, things are a bit beefier. Nothing is simply a pushover. Obviously, the more you master the game, the more you flesh out your build, the more smooth it gets and you're going through things. Yet though, bosses have mechanics and you get to play with these mechanics or they'll just delete you. And for this, keep in mind, you do have a new action combat role to actually roll out of the way of effects and everything. You're not in need of a traversal movement skill anymore because that's what you have your forward roll for. At first, it was a bit unusual to play around with this, but the more you played, the more interactive it became, especially as you then fight a boss and suddenly can action roll out of the way of an effect. Quite fun. Let's take a quick peek at items now in Path of Exile 2, because they lost all their links. No more 4-link blue, 6-link chest, all that kind of stuff is not needed. Your gems are in your gem menu, your support gems are also there, which means if you pick up this bow with increased physical damage, lightning damage, accuracy rating, grant 3 life per hit on enemy, all that kind of stuff, you can just equip it if it sounds good for you, without any consequences. Gotta meet the level and the dexterity requirement, but that's about it. Which makes looting, for me personally, more exciting than ever, as I'm not just being pigeonholed into looking for the right socket colors, and then for actual effects on the gear. I'll just find the right gear for what I'm looking for, with bonus ranks to skeletons, zombies, whatever, more spirit, and then I can just straight up equip it. I don't have to ask myself first, is this a 3-link blue with a 3-link green? Because otherwise I cannot play it for my specters. That's so much more fun for me personally. And one very important thing when it comes down to items that you might not be aware of, everything is tradable. Like literally everything. You find the coolest piece of loot from the pinnacle boss and you don't need it, or you could get whatever you want from the community because there's someone who's going to shower you with materials or items that you really want. One thing that's not tradable is gold. Gold is being used to refund your tree. We talked about it. And that's good. Because if you cannot trade gold, then you cannot buy gold online as well, which is usually a problem that plagues ARPGs like crazy. That being said, you can play the game completely without trading, if that is something you're not interested in. I gotta say personally, in Path of Exile 1, I wanted to make a certain minion build that required a unique that I could not get my hands on. And I literally just found, what was it, 2 Chaos Orbs? And then I could trade it for that unique in the market. And my build was complete. It was perfection. Instead of grinding like for 50 hours to never get it, I just had it and it was so much more fun. Don't have to interact with it, but might actually increase your game fun down the line. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I could clear up some questions. If there are more, drop them in the comments below. I'll read it. I can't promise to answer everything, but I'll try. You now want to see some early skill, support gem theory crafting, or more information on the witch and summons? Enjoy and have a fantastic good day.